Reply about NLA and confusion of law. May 17, 2020 by Anna von Reitz. Some people have identified me as an enemy of the National Liberty Alliance (NLA), and that's not what goes on between them and me, at least not from my side of the issues. I want to make it very clear that from a constitutional standpoint, and from within a construct of American common law, NLA is most often absolutely right about everything they publish. However, and this is a big however, when we address something like the state of Michigan Superior Court, we are facing foreign commercial corporation tribunals, not erring American courts. And that difference of discernment is what separates me from the NLA. Commercial tribunals naturally function under the global law of commerce, not American common law. So it makes no sense to send them writs of mandamus or coram nobis or enter pleas related to constitutional guarantees. These foreign courts are operating in foreign jurisdictions and under foreign law, and the subjects and persons they address are foreign, too. In a way, NLA makes the same mistake as the Colorado 9. They assume that all these courts are American courts functioning in error, when in fact these are not American common law courts and never have been, even though they are staffed by Americans. Perhaps that is what is so confusing. If you stop and think a moment, you will realize that not everything goes on in the realm of the land and soil. Some people actually do make their livelihoods on the sea, and they have to have courts that deal with those special issues and administer the international law of the sea. Some people operate as commercial corporations and need to have courts to sort out their differences. The problem isn't that their courts are malfunctioning. The problem is that the American common law courts, that are supposed to be addressing the needs of the people of this country, are rare as hen's teeth. So, slowly, over time, due to our own inaction and ignorance, our courts have shut down, and in their absence, the quasi-military district courts have been pressed into service to ensure public safety. Or so they say. They can't trespass onto our soil, so they have to presume instead that we are undeclared persons, unknowns, and play a little pretend game. Instead of addressing us, they address foreign situs trusts named after us, territorial courts, or they address various kinds of corporations named after us, municipal courts. Via these devices called special purpose vehicles, they traffic us into their foreign jurisdiction and subject what appears to be us, our names construed to be the names of trusts and estates and public transmitting utilities, etc., to their foreign forms of law, but in fact, so far as they are concerned, the living man or woman is never in their court at all. We don't exist. We are not recognizable by their courts. And this accounts for the odd phenomenon that judges appear not to hear what you say in their courts. They don't. When push comes to shove, they can't. Because if they do, they have to admit that they are engaged in fraudulent proceedings against a man or woman who is being impersonated as a thing and who is suffering the crime of barratry at their hands. The way out of this is to remove yourself and your names from their presumptions by declaring your proper political status, recording this declaration, and running your own American common law courts. Then the NLA's writs will have meaning and traction and enforcement again. Not until. In my discussions with former judges and former bar attorneys, there always comes a point where they bow their heads and admit that they always knew that what they were doing was wrong, but they didn't see a way out of it. There had to be some kind of law and order, even if it was paradoxically imposed by fraud. They try to excuse themselves by making reference to the law of necessity. Once things deteriorated to this point, they were placed in a double bind. They couldn't very well explain that they were participating in crime in order to preserve some kind of law and order, could they? So a deep and unnatural silence descended, and we were left to figure things out for ourselves, and we have done so. We are declaring and recording our political status, forming our state assemblies, forming our jury pools, and electing our court officials, known as justices, and yes, our common law sheriffs. American common law courts are opening up again and being serviced by counselors of law. Ironically, once the members of NLA figure out what has been wrong all along, once they realize that we were always our own answer, and that our state assembly courts are their own long-lost missing American common law courts, the ones that they should be addressing all their elegant writs to, you will hear the stampede from all corners of the country as they rush to come home and identify themselves as the men and women who are owed every jot of the constitutional guarantees. Can this be accomplished peacefully? Yes. In fact, ex parte Milligan, 71 U.S. 2, 1866 put the answer in place when the problem all began. When our civilian courts open to serve the American people, the military and commercial courts must stand down. So, full speed ahead and straight onto morning. Drop what you are doing and go to www.theamericanstatesassembly.net, where you can learn how to declare your political status as an American and take part in the very necessary effort to revive your American common law courts. And yes, NLA members are as welcome to participate in this as everyone else. Maybe more so, as their expertise as constitutional jurists and researchers is needed and welcome in our courts. Links to Anna's articles and resources can be found in the video description box.